It is not easy to achieve something spectacular in the gaming industry these days. I mean, something truly spectacular, something that will get everyone talking, will get almost, if not all, on one side, and will actually be something that everyone can unite behind and have pretty much the same feeling with some differences. Well, I'm happy to say that this has once again happened. We had several instances like that with games like Expedition 33, for instance, but now a new game that hasn't even been released has managed to rally every type of gamer, it would seem, behind one cause, but that cause is not what you might think it is. And I'm talking, of course, about Ghost of Yotei. Greetings, ladies and gents, my name is Hyozo, the Bearded Balkan Blabbermouth, and I am discussing, and today we are going to talk once again about Ghost of Yotei, Sucker Punch, soon to be released, probably, game that is going to do about as well as a mild disease on a hypochondriac. This game, we talked about it a little bit before in my previous videos, but now I want to shine a bit of a light on some new developments. If you know, previously the game was famously boycotted by all the sensible people and actual gamers for basically having the studio being silent and being allowing for some time for a very violent individual, in my opinion, to spew abhorrent stuff about Charlie Kirk's murder. The developer was later fired. However, Sucker Punch to this day have not issued any statements whatsoever, and it's got them into some pretty nasty waters with the actual gaming community. However, after firing and not taking any stance, they also managed to anger none other than the left, the people that are supposed to be rooting for it and for the dev and for everything. And because they didn't actually manage to have a spine, they pretty much angered and rallied everyone against them. This is the article from that Park Place. I really encourage you to go and read the whole thing, and there are other articles as well. Ghost of Yotei now facing boycott from right and left after Drew Harrison Charlie Kirk controversy. Drew Harrison is the ex-developer who wrote The Abhorrent Things, and The Abhorrent Things are as follows. I hope the shooter's name is Mario so that Luigi know his bro got his back. Now, I don't know what this woman has in terms of skills or anything, but she apparently has some very strong political thoughts, and those political thoughts were made basically right after Charlie Kirk was shot, and he was shot by a leftist cultist who was spewing propaganda as he was shooting as well into his bullets and other stuff like that. We're not here to talk about this topic, this is just the consequence of it. But the article starts, Ghost of Yotei, at one time highly anticipated follow-up from Sucker Punch Productions, is facing an unprecedented backlash, not from one side of the political spectrum, but from both. Now, in a much better world, political spectrum would have nothing to do with games, and games would have nothing to do with the political spectrum, and there would be a unifying force for people to just go and chill and take the worries from the real world and those disagreements and those passions and everything, just leave them behind and have a community of other people without the burden of political activism or political beliefs. However, we're in 2025 and this is all but impossible now. What began as outrage from the conservatives, I call them sensible people and actual gamers, over a developer mocking the assassination of Charlie Kirk has now spiraled into calls for a Ghost of Yotei boycott from the left-wing activists angry at the studio for terminating the same employee. So again, the left are being the left. They're defending and they're in favor of the developer who actually mocked the death of someone who was brutally assassinated. This is no big surprise. However, they're now boycotting the game as well, which means that in effect Ghost of Yotei will have so little that it might not make it to a month or two if all of what we're seeing comes to be. On the right, the reaction was swift. Fans began cancelling their pre-orders of Ghost of Yotei, posting screenshots of their refund confirmation plans to boycott the game. Now, these are the people who actually pre-ordered the game and wanted to give the game a chance. In my opinion, the game's first trailer was actually exciting, and I was kind of looking forward to it in the beginning before all the political stuff and activism seeped true. And let's remember that this has not started with that ex-developer. It all started when Erika Ishii announced she was the voice actor behind it, and her political activism, her being Antifa, as she has openly stated, and her political opinions started seeping through into the game as well, and she would just not talk about the game as much as she would talk about what she is, how she is, what she feels and stuff like that. Pretty much all the signs of someone who does not want to play games, and it's not a true gamer, it's not a passionate person about gamer, but wants to infuse their own politics into the gaming industry, as probably, in my opinion, she was ordered to. Many said they wouldn't support a company employing someone who celebrates Jericho's killing. For them, this was about free speech and the respect for life, of course. Many expressed their outrage with that the developer felt comfortable mocking a murder victim, and AAA company was unwilling to condemn that publicly. And just to confirm that, I'm giving you the Ghost of Yotei Sucker Productions X page, where they would post every few days up until September 9th. And after that, we have nothing. Today is September 19th, so you can pretty much guess what they're trying to do. Bury their heads and just not have any opinion. Don't do anything public because you just want to weather the storm in silence and hope for the best. The left fires back. Sucker Punch's refusal to address the issue intensified backlash from the right. And instead of putting out the flames, Sucker Punch's decision to part ways with Harrison actually sparked a second fire. Activists on Blue Sky are now furious that the studio caved to what they call right-wing pressure. These calls for a Ghost of Yotei boycott were compiled by YouTube Master of the TDS, the Gothic Therapy YouTube channel, and this is his post with a lot of screenshots. We're gonna check it. Master of the TDS says, Blue Sky is losing it. People now want to boycott because Sucker Punch fired Drew Harrison for her vile Charlie Cook post. Some are calling it fascist support and a right-wing cancel campaign. One even joked about Kirk's Dead karaoke party big. And these are all the Blue Sky posts that I'm not going to read because these people deserve to be left into oblivion and not have any light and anything that showcases them whatsoever. But you see that it's not just a small amount, there are tens upon tens and probably even more. We continue. The irony is hard to miss. Ghost of Yotei is now being boycotted by the very same people who demanded action, and those who believe the action went too far. Both camps feel betrayed. Conservatives for the initial comment and lack of response, and progressives for the firing. Now, it's important to note something, that when we talk about the left boycott, we all have to know one thing. The left never really go and buy games in bulk or are very active in games. They're politically motivated, at least 90% of them. And those left people that kind of go on Blue Sky and post these comments are probably never gonna buy the game anyways, and their outrage is not as huge of a deal as it was, because they were never part of the equation. The thing is that there are people on the left that probably feel that way, and it's also fair to say that there are people on the left who also condemn the other people on the left that are mocking Charlie Kirk and stuff like that, and they just don't want to be outed from their own community that they have supported for all these years. This is all my speculations, but I do feel there are people at least with some sense of a brain like that. So the thing is that Sucker Punch did the worst possible thing in a situation like this. They tried to cater to both sides in a time when doing something like this will absolutely surely get you double railed. They fired the ex-developer, but instead of just siding with gamers, siding with sensible people who don't support this kind of language and this kind of vile hatred, they just decided to be silent about it. Decided to be, okay, we're gonna do that because we're being pressured, probably by Sony, but we're not gonna make any publicity because we don't want to anger our fans that would support the game anyways. And that angered the right, but it also angered the left, because they were like, oh, you're firing someone for their words, we are being oppressed, we are being censored, we are not allowed to celebrate the dead. And yeah, their screeching never ends. But thing is that Sucker Punch basically did a double whammy on themselves. They absolutely destroyed themselves and any chance of this game making any money, in my opinion. My predictions are that this company is going to be down in the drain very soon, and this game is going to either drown it or set it back at least several years. As for Ghost of Yotei, my predictions are that it is going to sell worse than Dragon Age the Vanguard. It's not going to have any good reviews. At best, it's going to be mixed on Steam, And from what I could gather, not even the people who I follow and people in our community who stream these games, who stream new games, and who even play the games they don't want to play just so they can see how bad they are also not going to play and buy Ghost of Yotei. So you can imagine how bad the situation is for them. And don't get me wrong, and don't be mistaken, this game would probably cost at least 3 times than Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima cost $60+ million, and if you multiply it by 3, you know that this is upwards to the 200 and more million, in my opinion. And this money is basically wasted at this point. They burned them, they set them on fire, they did the Joker thing from Dark Knight. That's exactly what they do, because they wanted to send a silent message that they just want to bend the knee to everyone. So that's not how you do it, Sucker Punch. That is not how you do it. But anyways, that's all I have for this video today. Tell me what you think down in the comments below. Do you support Sucker Punch? Are you going to play Ghost of Yotei? Do you think gaming companies should now have at least a bit of a sense and a backbone and stand with gamers, the ones that are actually going to buy their game? Or do you think actually Sucker Punch was right in this situation? Tell me what you think, and if you enjoy my content, press the like and subscribe button, press the join button to join the DiscussThing Guild and help me grow my channel and help homeless animals and animals in shelters. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Kiazo, this was DiscussThing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers and stay fresh.